Welcome to the Suicide Monk, and I am your host, and my name is Britton. Today, I'm going to start doing something a little different. I'm trying to work on my language. I am going to be letting you in on some of the struggles that I've had, or still continue to have, and how I'm navigating those now that I'm post psilocybin. And these are the things that that have haunted me throughout life, and still present themselves to me. I just have a new found, how would I say it? I have a new vigor to live, a new fight, a new perspective that allows me to look at things in a very different way that I've never had the opportunity to look at it. And it's the problems that are in the world, that are in my world, and learning how to navigate those in a healthy way so I can give those back in a healthy way, that process. And that's what I want to just talk about as I go through some of this. It's not easy for me. I don't necessarily want to do this, but that's kind of the whole point is, we share our healing, we share our gifts. Our gifts are not our own. I heard that quote the other day, and I thought that was beautiful, is that my gift is not my own to harbor. So the fortunate thing is I get to learn from those gifts, and that's I get to learn from myself essentially as I give these things away, because as I'm telling somebody something, I'm also paying attention to the logic and how I got to that logic behind it. So it's a good reminder for me. It's a good lesson for me. And so I just wanted to share some of those things as I move forward. So that's going to be the next few weeks, I think. Um, and it's a perfect time because I'm struggling with some very deep traumas, per se. Well, not per se, absolute deep traumas, ones that I've feared my whole life and never really been able to identify those. Even as I've approached those traumas in my life at various times, I've still not been able to identify some of the root causes. And the reason for that is memory lapse, memory gain, memory loss. Wow, right there. So I had this gap in my childhood. So there's this unknown story that I've always feared, and I've embellished stories on top of that, and I've also taken away from that, and now I don't know what's true, and I don't know how to rely on that. So, but I know I've been triggered in a way that has invoked this serious discomfort in me, and I'm on the other side of this now. So now I get to look at this very, very traumatic thing in my life in a different way. And again, I don't know exactly what that is, and I don't want to put a story on that. And maybe it's nothing. Hopefully it's nothing. Hopefully it's an embellishment of my own fears and those residual effects of these lies I built around my story to justify my path towards taking my life. And the reason I call them lies, it's not that I was telling lies. The story's true. The narrative of that narrative was built on a foundation of not being good enough and not being enough and not and born to fail. And, those are lies that I was telling myself, like, look at the evidence. That's what I always told myself. Look at the evidence. The evidence says that I was never good enough, that I was, I was easily to abuse, or I was easily taken advantage of, or I was, because of my demeanor, there was this thing about, okay, that's the narrative. That's not true. Like, the truth is that I am lovable, and I am kind, and I am generous, and I am these things, and I am worth so much more than I even gave my own self credit for. And I think that was the most important thing. And that's why I want to kind of share, psilocybin didn't cure me. It It broke down all the lies so I could rebuild a foundation based on truth. And I'm mature enough, wise enough, and grounded enough spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all that now to build that foundation. And I am building that foundation actually at a quicker rate than I would have thought. And I think that is because of the work I put in prior to doing this psilocybin journey. And I've started this journey, really started this journey when I was 18 of healing. And well, I was thinking about that. Yeah, it was 18 when I started that. I was thinking about it could have been earlier because of, it takes the action of dying to self over and over and over to get to that point. And I did in a certain way. But 18 was when I made the conscious decision to turn my life in a different direction. Didn't go very well for me. I didn't have a foundation that would perpetuate me in a good direction. So I was a fish out of water flopping, and I had been for 44 years. Now I have direction, now I have goals, now I have ambition and hope and all these things in so many ways. And I've never had those things before. I never had those tools. So I didn't have a foundation of that to build my future on. Now I have that opportunity. That's all I'm saying is like, this didn't cure me. It just gave me opportunity to deal with the difficult things in my life in a really healthy and balanced way. Do I still get depressed? Do I still get upset? Do I still have these same reactions in similar ways? Yes. Are they the same reactions? No, because they feel more of an outer body instead of an inner body experience now. It used to be very inner, like that was a thing that harbored within me. Now it's a very outer um, force. It feels like, I don't know how to explain that to you, but it doesn't feel like it's part of my nature anymore. It just feels like something. It feels like a normal reaction to an old story, an old narrative. So I'm trying to rewrite that narrative in a way that allows my mind, my brain, to not react in the similar ways that it used to do. And that's what I'm sharing with you as I sit here and talk with you about this and work it out in my own mind. And that's kind of the beautiful thing. Um, that's the beautiful thing about being wordy, as my friend would call me. I get to work a lot of this outside of the internal workings of my mind. I get to release a lot of this, and as I talk, I get to have realization of what I'm actually saying and putting together the pieces of the puzzle that is in my mind, because a lot of times that tone in my mind is not the tone that comes out of my mouth. And that is reverse effect in both instances. It's like sometimes I'm very calm on the inside and it's an ill reaction or ill-toned response that creates reaction. And I don't know if I can explain that well, but anyway, without no further ado, again, I think that's going to be my new segue into my videos and stuff like that. So with no further ado, no further kirkadur, um, I am going to talk about one of my struggles that I've had. So hopefully you enjoy this. If not, well, I guess that's too bad. It's my channel. So if you don't like it, I guess that's too bad too. So, but if you do and you want to talk, or if you don't and you want to talk, let me know. I'm always up for a conversation. I am not up for abuse. I don't like abuse. I'm not going to abuse you. I'm going to let you be who you are. I just want to be able to be who I am. And that's what the whole point of this channel is allowing people to be who they are and allowing them to have their struggles the way that they have them. Also providing opportunity for input in those struggles and wisdom where maybe I've walked or maybe where you've walked that I haven't and I have where you haven't. And I think that's so one of the most beautiful things that we can give each other is our wisdom and the things that we have struggled with. Because even though it may not be something for my life. Well, and I'll say that, but it is something that I can give away to somebody else, because now I've had a conversation with somebody that I don't quite understand, but they do. And isn't that the beauty of walking with people, is you don't have to understand everything. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to. Presence, acceptance, allowance, graciousness, kindness, all these things are valuable to friendship, relationship, intimate relationship, and just walking with people that are hurting and suffering. It's not mine to carry, but I can sure walk with it because I know what it is to walk in it. So I've recently learned that in the last several months, that this weight of this world, we're so keen to protect ourselves from other people's darkness, and we don't want their energy. You can't take my energy unless I give it, and my light is far greater than any darkness that I've met so far. So I I'm not burdened by that anymore, of that worry, or um, thinking I have to carry somebody's weight and I have to be responsible for it, and I have to. I'm not. What I am is responsible for who I am in society, and that's what I choose to be, is this person that can walk with people like me that are suicidal, that are hurting, that are suffering, that are debilitated by anxiety, and in a hospital, or they just need a space to be able to let this thing out, so they can have enough space to start to see, number one, how strong they are, and number two, how beautiful they are. Um, Also, one of my theories, and I'll talk about, is, and I've probably talked about it. One of the things about having a nice brain tumor is that my short-term memory is gone, and then I'm probably not going to go back and listen to hours of me talking to see what I said. So let's hope my belief system kind of rocks on the same path. But it is pliable, and it is malleable, and because of that, it's become more and more beautiful. And does some of it justify my walk in life? Absolutely. Yeah. That's the whole point. So, that's part of my faith system, is I don't believe like they believe. So I've melded it into mine. I just don't need to force it onto you. And I think that's one of the greatest things that I've learned in this, is that I can have this relationship with my creator, my I would say belief system, but what I know to be true. And even though I know this to be true, that truth is always expanding in beautiful ways that I never thought possible. The foundation of that truth I know is true for me. And I think that's the most important belief. I don't just believe it. I know it. And I know it because as I look back at the walk of my life, we'll just take the last year and a half, there's been at least, and I'm going to say at least, I'm going to say between 7 and 12 instances where somebody had stepped in my path inadvertently, unknowingly, and saved me from taking my life. And it got me here. So if I start looking at, at people, well, where's the miracles? Where's the evidence? I have so much evidence in my life as I look back through the course of it, to say, from rolling a truck 7 times to 150 miles an hour on a motorcycle with no helmet and no lights in the middle of the night, and getting head shake, and not wrecking, and doing things I shouldn't be doing, and putting things in my body I shouldn't be putting. And I couldn't stand up at times, and let alone get on a two-wheeled vehicle. And, you know, for me to not get hurt, to lose my life to happenstance, because that's what I wished for, was at that time, was I didn't have the balls to take my life, but I knew any little mishap, any little mistake at that kind of speed. I did that with cars, I did that with motorcycles, I did that with life, period. Again, I tell you that I'm afraid of everything, and that's how I faced it, like head on, full speed. And to this day, I'm still afraid of some of those things, but And now that if I try to do some of those things, I realize how stupid and idiotic and how incredibly fortunate I am to still be living. And if those aren't miracles to get me to this point, to kind of entering into this gift of who I am and what I have to give away, man, I don't know what is. Like I don't need a parted sea. I don't need some voice that's come out of nowhere. I don't need, like, it's very evident to me that there's so many times in my life that I could not have orchestrated the things that were a blockade for me, that kept me alive, the things that were allowed that taught me valuable lessons, and the things I really pushed my way into and failed at. And now I get to watch those things unfold because I know how to show up. I know how to do the work. I know how to, um, well, I know how to worry. I know how to complain. I know how to be the victim. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to unfold. I want to watch life unfold. I want to hear the stories of people. I want to be part of that thing that is called life. And I don't think it's just in the creation of this. I believe it's the interaction of that creation. And I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense in my mind. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can get things in my mind going. It's like, oh, that's pretty damn intelligent. Now say it out loud. Ding dong. And so hopefully that made sense, because I'm not going to go back and listen to this. I'm just going to rattle on, throw it on, and get it going. But in this video that's coming up, and that's where we'll go, I got distracted with my own ding dongishness. So we're going to get right to the video now. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you enjoy this. Again, if you don't, well, you already know my thoughts. So hopefully you will. But if you don't, I really don't. Yeah. Okay. See you on the good side. I'll premise this with a little bit. Highly suicidal up until around June of 2024. Now we're post 6 months. And for those 6 months, I have been, I wake up motivated every day. I wake up joyful. I wake up peaceful, happy. Like, even in the midst of, adversity in life, and the adversity of life didn't stop when I had a psilocybin treatment. It's just that everything that I'd been working on for so long finally came to fruition. All those wishes and dreams of death because I couldn't live, but I didn't have the fortitude to die. But I'd worked so hard every day, oh my gosh, to get to a point where I could live. And then I found some semblance of that and had a 7-year stint where I was joyful and I'd experienced joy quite a bit during that 7 years. Happy, never ever understood what peace was. That was the first time I had ever experienced joy as well. I've experienced bits and pieces of happiness through my life, like joking and laughing. And well, when I was younger, you tap into that, giggly side when you do drugs. And so I knew something was there, but I was tormented most of my life. So I lived in a fearful anger. And that will be part of what I'm trying to tell you today. And I'm going to probably read you a couple texts that I wrote this morning, or last night and this morning. So that's kind of the last 5 months. I'm just fantastic. I've had some really adverse situations, car breaking down, no money. I mean, it's the thing that makes the world go round. And I don't know how I'm going to eat for 2 weeks out of the month. And these are things that I've settled into that I'm like, I'll never be here again. So why am I so worried about how I'm going to get it? Because for some reason I'm always fed, I'm always clothed, I'm always housed, I'm like, so why am I so stressed about all this stuff. And that's where this kindness for myself began to happen. And I understood that this is not how it's always going to be, because I'm motivated now. I want to live. I want to experience life, and I want to work hard, and I enjoy working hard. I enjoy going and getting the wood out of the bin or chopping it, or going out and I just enjoy it now. I never have enjoyed hard labor. It's always been painful for me. Now I look at the pain differently. It's a different pain than I live with on a regular basis every day, because I live in pain all the time. So, when my muscles hurt, I'm like, okay, that feels great. You gotta excuse me for a second. I gotta let the ding dong out. He's a boy, but he does not act like one. Not at all. Chubby. He's a cat boy. All right, so we're pretty much at the part where I'm doing really, really, really good. I was going to take my life in March of 2024 and did not. I ended up doing a psilocybin treatment. I've been great ever since. All those things that I tried, when I was 18, I checked myself into a treatment center and stayed sober for 17 years. And I learned a lot of things about life during that time. I can't tell you that I was a full-blown alcoholic or drug addict at the time. I was a teenager, and on the weekends I was trying to escape. And then, somewhere in the course of being in a recovery program, I realized I was the problem, not alcohol. So, I didn't want to bring that into my home. I knew I would probably drink again. I wasn't concerned about that. I just didn't want to bring it into my home at the time. So 17 years later, I stayed sober for me, but I knew I would someday choose that. And so I was sober for 17 years. I didn't even hardly take an Advil for anything. And I, mountain biked and motorcycles and all this stuff. And then during part of that time, I became a Christian and got baptized 7 times because I wasn't enough. And it never stuck with me because I couldn't wrap my head around where I came from and what I was being taught in the church. The narrative did not make sense to me. And nobody could explain why these things happened the way they happened. And they want me to believe in this all forgiving, omnipotent, all-knowing God. You tell somebody that's broken that this God, well, who's the main player in the chess game? This God knew this was going to happen, and this God knew that he was putting you into this, and this God, and then I'm like, oh my! So I hated God. Ended up hating God. So I damn near walked to atheism 3 different times. That was part of that. Now I'm in a whole different, I read for myself. I educate myself. I do the history. I do the ancient history. I love ancient history. I've always loved ancient history, but I'm self-taught, and I've always thought, history tells the story of human behavior, and that human behavior is acted out with government and church and individual finances and personalities and culture and food and all these things build a person. So to get to my point, I'm relishing in life, so it's hard for me. I was told I'm too wordy the other day. I love it because words have so much meaning, and they're so beautiful if they're articulated well. And I don't do that sometimes, especially when I'm angry and especially when I'm frazzled, or I've got this tape playing in my head, or, I'm just going on that mouse wheel over and over and over. And so I've been there's some lessons I learned in this, and I'll share those about the mouse wheel and that repetitive thought pattern. Hopefully I won't give too much information today. Because I do want to get to the story, and I do want to get to my thought process and my reaction and how my body reacted to this thing. But this is also part of my process. One of the things, I'm 54 years old, and I have a walk of friends and people I love. From a young age, they're just beautiful people. I go through my head and I'm thinking, well, where's the age stop that I really respect and like kids? And then there's this one young man that is my grandson's age, and he is one of the most profound and loving and beautiful people I've ever met. He's seen me upset and angry, and he's heard me cuss, and he's like, Uncle Brett, it'll be okay. You're going to be okay. The gifts we find in the midst of our darkness. And what I mean by that is, I was angry, and this young man brought, and he does often. I mean, that's just the nature of it. He just has this light in him that he sees life in a beautiful way, and he shares that, but is not afraid to see the hurt or the pain or the suffering. And out of a kid, I love that. So, every time I see him, he just runs up and hugs me, and we have a chat, and, he shares stuff with me, and, he's got candy or pens or pencil or a new toy that he just got, that he's got multiples of, so he shares them, and he's just a cool kid. So, and then, his brother is the same in a different way. He gave me one of the most beautiful compliments I think I've ever had. I'll see if I can get it out. He whispers into his brother's ear, and he says, and I was like, what are you whispering about? And he's looking at me, he's whispering, he's like, and I'm like, what are you whispering about? And his little brother goes, he said, when you smile, you look like your grandson. I was like, oh my God. And I'm not going to tell you my grandson's name, so he said his name, but this is my story. So anyway, we'll get back to my story now. So I guess I'm trying to say that I'm starting to see the beauty in a different way of life, and the things that are said, even in the midst of frustration. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be sad and have all these emotions. That's the privilege of this life. Whether it be good or bad in those emotions. But why are we having those? So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. And I know that's a long explanation to get where we're at. But I had an argument with a friend a couple days ago, and during that, I believe they were already, unrested, working hard for a long period of time, trying to force something that wasn't, instead of relaxing and resting, it was keeping going. And then it was just starting to bleed out on me. And there were some things said that were very hurtful. Well, it only took one thing. I wasn't even angry during any of the conversation until I was told, how do I say this? I want to be careful here, because this isn't about hurting somebody. This isn't about getting back. This is about explaining something that triggered me. So what was said triggered me. There we go. Oh, as we talk, we'll work it out. It triggered me in a way, and I felt my defense mechanisms kick in. So But as that happened, I stepped back from myself. Everything still happened the way it was happening, but I stepped back from myself. My body started to shake. My temperature started to rise. My eyes started to turn color. I'm almost positive. Maybe not this time. That's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to think about that one. I don't look in the mirror, but I at some points I've been in front of myself in the mirror or in a bathroom where I'm still in that rageful emotion, still heightened in it, and my eyes are black. I don't think when I went through my journey, I released all of that darkness. So I don't think my eyes turn that color anymore. I don't think they go. My rage is different now. We'll just say that. But anyway, I feel my body go into this like it's like an acute stress that starts to happen. Like, yeah, that would be, yeah, it's like this instant shock to the whole system when that trigger happens, and go in self-defense mode. Not just self-defense, but survival mode. It's actually not even self-defense. It's pure survival. My body shuts down. My mouth starts defending its territory. So what I don't know how else to explain this, but I am creating a wall around me that says, don't come close. And if you come too close, I'll cut this relationship with my words in just a few sentences. And I don't just like say I'm done. I cut the throat of a relationship with the words that come out of my mouth. And I know I'm doing it. I'm doing it intentionally when I'm in that state of rage. It's not what I would want. I don't think that's what anybody would want, is that, but there's this thing that takes over. And I know, it's this, well, why don't you just control your anger? Go to anger control. Do you think I've not done the books and the class and the blah, blah, blah. It didn't stick. It didn't work. I'm an articulate man. And the unfortunate thing is I think I picked apart there were too many fallacies in the process. And maybe those never have fully come together. So I told a friend today, I thought this was really intelligent. I was talking to him about like my future and what's happening. Sorry, I'm ADHD. What do you expect? I was telling him about my future path and what, like, I'm going for a second job interview to really see if I can solidify grounding myself in a community now that I want to work, and now that I can work, and now that I'm doing really well and happy and joyful, and I can spread these things that are the really good things about me, instead of wearing that chip on my shoulder and being uncomfortable and unsure all the time and fear. Blah, I don't have that. So I was telling him through this, I was like, well, let me just read that. That was one of the things I was going to read you, so I guess we're just going to go into it right now. I was explaining it to him. I said I didn't know it was a plan until I wrote it out. All those ideas and thoughts that were out playing by themselves decided to hold hands. So the puzzle in my mind about my future starts to form shape, which is also part of the story that I'm telling you. So I'm still not off track. Wow. So mind you, I'm intentionally going out and bettering my life. I'm trying to get a job with a fitness studio doing sales and getting memberships and stuff like that. So part of this is I'm investing in my own life. The fitness studio, I'll get a free membership or whatever. I get the benefits and perks. I'm going to get a job at a ski resort, or do I already have one? And so that gets me in front of the public eye, in front of the local people that work in this area. And then that gets me involved in the events that happen, and really just, and then I get to look for my future bombshell rich wife that, I told you I won't be here all the time. And so, I'm writing this out, and I didn't know all these little ideas would formulate a plan, but I'm like, well, this makes sense. Like, how am I going to get to know people? Well, I'll go work here, because that's the largest concentration of local people. So why not do that? And it's one thing I love to do, and it gets me all these huge perks. Like I get to go snowboarding for free all year round. I love it. And then I get to go mountain biking and ride the gondola and whatever. But I start writing this out, and all these little ideas are formulated into a text, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually formulating. I didn't know I was formulating. I'm formulating a beginning opportunity for myself. That means I get to land. That means I get to have a studio. That means I get to invest in not only myself physically, but one of my big things this year is I'm going to start cooking. So I bought some, I already cook. I'm a pretty good cook, but I don't know proper cooking. So I want to learn proper cooking and just the basics of the kitchen to make it more enjoyable, more inviting, more colorful, more flavorful, because I want to improve my health. So I have all these plans in place. Okay. And then I get into an argument where all that's compromised now, today, in my mind. We'll just put it like that right now, because there's no other conversations that have been had yet. This is a trauma perspective response. It's a trauma response perspective. That's better. I think that's better. I don't know my English very well. Again, I'm self-educated. What do you want? I slipped through the cracks in school, literally. They're like, oh, you need a D minus. I was a hot mess. I was the twisted kid, but anyway, crap. I saw a squirrel. He got a nut and went up the tree, and then he dropped the nut. They came it down. Then the other squirrel got it. So I get in this argument. It compromises this plan that propels me forward in life for the first time ever. Do I get to be the narrator of that plan? Because I didn't really understand that. And I still don't understand it to a large degree, if you can tell. I was like, oh, that was like I wrote it out and it formulated, but I had all these little ideas about what I would like and what made sense to me. And then they just decided to hold hands and bring the puzzle together. And now that plan is being compromised. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so my body's reacting to this, and my thoughts are reacting to this. And I'm in a very dark place. Instantly, everything goes dark just based on a few words. And those words are powerful in a way that say, you're not worth anything. And in the subject matter and the way it was brought was not by my invitation. So that made it even harder. And I wasn't asked, I was being told. So that there's some triggers in there it's not just one trigger. It was a building of things. And then the one trigger snapped the bridge. So I don't intentionally, what some people would call, carry a gasoline and a lighter, or I like to call it, drawing my swords or drawing my battle axes, or, some people call it drawing lines in the sand. Well, that's where I go. I'm like, let's fight. Let's do this. You want to bring this to my doorstep. I didn't ask for it. I am, one of my mottos is never start it, but always finish it. I don't know if it's a good motto, but, that was my survival thing. That is a survival motto. And growing up is because the God or the life that I try or am, yeah, that's the life that I am. How do I want to word this? Because I want to be careful. I'm trying to be careful with my words right now. As far as, well, I'm not angry. This has no control when it's angry. That's also working on that. But I'm trying to I'm beginning to mimic the life of the God that I believe in, and that it has called me to be and to do. Now, I don't even think that, I'm not even sure if it's being called to that. It's like I have an opportunity to be the very thing that he created to me, that my creator created me to be. I've just stifled that all my life. And that's also one of the, so that's why we're having this little, whatever this is, Britain talk, suicide monk talk. I don't know. But so all these things are happening. I'm shutting down. I'm getting angry. My words, I can't even, I'm stepped back from this to a point where I'm like, what the hell is coming out of your mouth? Why don't you just shut up? And it's this separation of brain and spirit, brain and mind. The mind would be what I would consider my spirit, and that's kind of that stepping back. I don't know how to explain that. I've never done this before. This has just been the last 6 months of my life of really looking at myself from a different perspective, and my actions and my reactions, and questioning myself, of not to beat myself up, but to say, is this who you want to be? And then if the answer is yes or no, and sometimes it's yes. Today it's yes. Today I'm very, very comfortable being in what I would normally call turmoil, torment, and misery, but I'm not any of those things. I'm just very familiar with this place. And so now the things that used to hold me in fear and hold me in playing that tape don't hold me anymore. So I'm in a different spot today. In all of this. And as I'm talking to you, I have imagery that goes on with all of this. So when somebody takes a swing at me, everything, I go into fight or flight. Generally it's fight. Sometimes it's flight in order to prepare for the fight, because those things build in my body. It's like this darkness that starts to fester, and it starts to stew, and it starts to stir the pot deep within my gut, and it starts to make me sick, and my tension rises. But not just that. You get this peak in an argument, and you say some things, and then you come off, and the things that have been said to you are now this dark entity that is brewing a pot. And, that elixir of darkness is just festering and waiting and getting ready. It's like, yeah, let's do this. Somebody wants to hurt me. Well, I'm not going to start it, but I'm going to sure as hell prepare a war. And so there's this extreme thing that happens, and then after, you get this peak in an argument, and then you get this festering thing. Well, that festering thing is where rage begins to really, really brew and morph itself and build the pressure in the pot. And then there's the unfortunate soul, the unlucky one that will cross the path of me. And although I'm not physically violent, I'm verbally intelligent. When it, like, well, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, I would say that's verbal. There's verbal intelligence there because I'm able to formulate things in rage, in my words, in my anger, that can slash very, very deep into a point. And I use metaphor of slashing and cutting, and, like cutting the throat, or just making it bleed, because that's the graphic nature of the tongue. And that's what I'm capable of. And I'm far more articulate in that than I am in this, because I have some belief systems behind that. I talk about my rage, even my spirit. I talk about it as almost a separate entity than what this housing that I have. I'm glad I got this housing. I'm glad I got my life. I'm glad I have the things that I have. This is just a response. I didn't realize I had all that, and I didn't realize I loved all that, but now I do. And I didn't understand that growing up. I've always felt out of place and different and out of whack. So, but this rage starts to fester, and then, you get, then the next argument comes, whether it be with road rage, or a clerk, or going into public, or just whatever it is, or your spouse or your kid or whatever. I mean, it's this thing that just gets a hold, and whatever that looks like for you. I would even say there's, what is it? Maybe, I don't know. That's probably a far reach. Addiction to, maybe not. Maybe addiction to, that, well, yeah, I guess there, as I'm thinking about it, it's pretty addictive to have that dance with your own devil, and have that methodic, beautiful thing that how to navigate, and the steps of it. May not like the steps. I don't like the outcome. I don't like anger at all. I don't like fighting at all. But I know how, and that does not make me. I don't like it. I don't like feeling like that, because I know what it is to feel good. I know what it is to not. I know what it is to relax now, to be at peace, to have my body fully immersed in just the weight of gravity, and not me. Like, I mean, I was, man, tense. Oh, for most of I got knots in my shoulders that are still, but I can feel my body relaxed. And the moment I get stressed, oh, my neck, man, it's like somebody's tugging on it from every different direction and pulling down on it hard. And I don't feel that today. And I can sit upright, and I can be strong, and, I can meditate well, and I can, I don't feel these pains when I'm doing this stuff. So this is what it kind of sent me into. And then, so I start shutting down, and I start pushing away, and I start thinking of extremes. So then the thought process is, well, I'm not afraid to die. I can't see anywhere outside of this box. There are no walls in the darkest of places, and I can't see any light. And I can't find a window, and there's nothing floating, and then there's no light. There's no way out. I still can't see it even today. But we're having the conversation. Well, I'm having the conversation. Well, I'm speaking to you. This is the first time I thought about suicide in 6 months. It was an ethereal smoke that I couldn't get a hold of, that grabbed, and it got me. And you know what? I walked right into it. Intentionally. I'm like, I still can't see the light. There's one potential, but that question becomes, is it my ego that's preventing me from making that decision and continuing my future? Or do I just say, screw it, fulfill my plan that I've always had, and just be done? Because I'm still in the same situation, actually a little worse, but, it's just my perspective is the gift of life that I have now. And it seems simple. Oh, you just changed your perspective. No, no, it crumbled all my fears and all these things that kept me in that state of fight or flight every day of my life. And that was the turmoil and torment. Because when you're in that, your mind is constantly looking over its shoulder. Like you're always looking over your shoulder for what rug is going to get pulled next and how is it going to blah, blah, blah. And so that's why this is different today. I'm not angry. I'm not rageful. But being able to sit in this place, this darkness, and say, I don't see a way out. I'm not afraid to die. And being very, very tired of fighting. That tiredness, or that man, I want to be careful here, because that almost doneness has not, well, I understand it differently today. It doesn't feel like a weight. It's weird. I understand it's now a choice of mine that I want to be careful here. This is, I always want suicide to be my last choice. But it's still my choice. And it's still, it's not what I would want. I think I'm trying to reduce those options in my mind to more dire situations, because I'm no longer traumatized. I've taken myself out of that trauma game, which means I no longer get to hold on to the victimhood of it, which I love. I hate, I'm trying to unpack what's going on in my body and my mind right now, and because I'm unfamiliar with it, and that's why I'm able to have a calm, like, yeah, I'm not cussing into the mic, which if you've seen some of my sessions, which you haven't, nobody has, but they're very cussy. This, however, is not. So maybe this will turn into something more valuable. I don't know. It's also one of the things I wanted to work on. But I sent this. I'm going to listen to this real quick on here. I don't know if it'll be, but it's a really good description. I don't even know who it's by. Philosophy something. It's a really good description of my reaction. Don't listen to some of the other stuff, like the shame or the guilt, or there is some validity to some of what they're, how somebody feels about this, but it's not true across the board. So, like, I feel guilty for when I act out in rage. I feel guilty when I have rage inside me. I don't have shame or guilt when I feel like I do right now. So this is, and maybe I'm misinterpreting this, but we'll listen to this. And this is where I'm at right now. Like I told my friend, I did, it took a lot out of me, but I just said, I need time. So, but I also sent this because this is a great explanation of where I'm at in my mind. The two things that I'm looking at right now is, do I make a decision to continue my future, or do I go take my life? So future or take my life? Don't know. Still on the table. And it's not because I'm depressed or sad. It's just I'm so tired of fighting in every aspect of life. I was able to get a job not because I fought for a job, because I wanted to go get a job. And I'm able to get a second job because I have the charisma and belief in myself that I can do it and I want to do it. And so, and then I can still do the podcast on top of that because I have the belief in myself that I can do it. And maybe I can't. I don't know. But that's not where I'm going with this. This doesn't get sacrificed for a job, at least not at this stage of my life. Well, that's why I'm going to find a rich wife. Bombshell. So obviously I got to like her. Jeez, I'm not totally shallow. I got to be attracted though. But you got to be able to, talk, being articulate and spiritual and all that stuff. Oh, and not cuckoo. I got enough cuckoo for all of us. So, I'm just kidding and all that. Maybe, kind of. So, we're going to listen to this. This is where I'm at. And then I'll talk a little bit about this. Maybe more than I like.
What may seem like emotional detachment is often a deep survival mechanism born from profound pain. Trust that no one is more exhausted by this protective strategy than the person living within it. They exist with a constant internal narrative of self-preservation, wishing they could experience relationships without overwhelming fear. But it's not something they can easily dismantle. Although it may be hard to see, there is resilience in their protective mechanism. Those who self-isolate are often individuals who have survived the most, learning protection as an art form of emotional survival. They are fighting a daily battle against a wounded internal landscape, a battle that became more difficult because someone before you walked away when emotional connection became challenging. Their self-isolation is not a flaw, but a sophisticated emotional response to unprocessed trauma. According to psychology,
So maybe I'll record that again after this, but my emotional response happened, and that's where my body started to shake, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And then my mouth started running, and I was like, okay, what's really going on? And then the mind the brain just starts letting go, and it starts puking these ugly this ugly narrative, and not necessarily untrue. It's just with words that can be hurtful, that carry way too much weight for the conversation in the tone and presentation. So there's a multitude of things that I recognize that are starting to happen. I don't even know this it's probably in psychology somewhere. I should probably look it up about that very process, or how the weight of words carry more weight with, it seems logical, maybe some people don't know this, but with the tone and body language, and we read about it, but when we don't often recognize it in ourselves. So that's all I'm doing, is recognizing it in myself and then expressing it through this. I'm not a ding dong. I'm very, very aware of who I am. So thanks, but you don't need to try to fix me. I have a hard enough trying to fix myself, but I do the work. And I do express that with people that I trust, care about. I have a mentor, and I have, I'm going to say, a loose counselor at this point. And I have well, I don't know that I have any close friends that I can really tell this stuff to, other than my, my mentor, I don't, I want to say like it's kind of, they are helping me, they are guiding me and allowing me to be the best possible version of who I am. So there's an appreciation for my articulation about my words on the mic. You know what I'm saying? So there's just an appreciation for the way that I articulate things spiritually and emotionally. And then both of these people are guiding me in this. I guess I really didn't realize I didn't have that friendship aspect anymore to a degree. Yeah, I think I ruined that when I told people I was suicidal. I think, yeah, but I think that's okay. I haven't really unpacked that. I just realized that. So, I guess I'll have to new stuff all the time. But that's exactly where I'm at. And that's why I need time. It's not, in general, that was time to prepare for the next fight. But this is actually, do I just say screw it? And that's the hard part. It's like, is this the answer to my life problem? And I say life problem because it's the one in front of me. So this is what I'm living. Be the singular. It's a big one. It's a big life problem, but there's little things that got me to that, and I recognize those little things, but they all funneled in a way. So then the question is if I kind of humble myself and sit with myself for a minute, and this is what I'm going to do after this. So this will be another part to this, but I'm going to go sit in meditation with my belief system and how I meditate, and also self-taught. But I get in it, like I get into the spirit and meditation, and I've been hour and a half, probably 5 times in the last month, deep in meditation. And I just get lost in time. It's not because it's intentional. I'm like, I plan for 10 minutes, and I think 5 minutes is too short. So I'll just tell you my meditation process. How about that? I'm hinting at it, so why don't I tell you? So sometimes I'll listen to music. I've been listening to Gregorian chants lately, which is like a Catholic monk, that kind of thing. Then Tibetan bowls. I love the Tibetan bowls. Those are really great. Native American tribal ceremony music is also one of the things that I listen to. And then there's something else. I think that might be it. But those are some of the meditation things. It just depends on what I'm feeling and how I want to enter into what I call my spirit, how I want to enter into my spirit and connect with myself and the God that I believe in. And the reason I present the God that I believe in this way to you, because I want to have the freedom to talk about my spirituality. I want you to have the freedom to talk about your spirituality. And I want you to have the freedom to talk about no spirituality, if that's what you choose. If you want to be an atheist, I'm totally cool with that. I have atheist friends. There are some that I don't like that are preaching atheism. All they're doing is just preaching a different religion. That's it. That's all it is to me. So I'm not here to preach my religion, but I'm here to talk about my spiritual life with you, because it's the most valuable thing that I have. And I treat it like that. Even when I'm angry, it is like my anger is 99.9% directed towards my God, my language, my ill behavior, my screw you, two-fingered, why he hasn't taken both hands, both feet, and everything I got on my body for the blasphemy that I have projected. I don't know. All I know is, I got a brain tumor, some diabetes, and a little bit of blindness, and a brand new life. And a brand new life is full of treasures that I never thought possible. So, again, who knows? So, well, that squirrel just left the building. He took all the nuts too. Damn it. I can see his ass. It's gone. So yeah, I guess I'm really, the meditation, sorry. He came back. So, that's how I meditate. So either I use music or no music. Those are some of the choices that I have. But I keep it simple because I need simple. I need to engage in a way that not somebody else is teaching me or telling me how to do it or what's the magic trick. You know what the magic trick is? The magic trick is find a focus word. Find a focus word that brings you back into your center, that focuses you right here, because you have all this stuff coming here. So, I've got the problems with my friend. I got housing. I got job. I've got religion. I've got politics. I've got food. I've got all these things coming at me in a different way. And I say food is a tough one for me. So how do I eat well? How do I eat well for my limited palate? Problem. So these things I've learned how to compartmentalize through meditation. And I can name them off, number one, so that makes them a subject. And then I can put them in their own subject. They don't get to mash and mesh with all my other stuff anymore. Food, spirituality, although some of these bleed over into each other, they're still their own compartment. How do I eat well? And then how do I make that spiritual for myself? So eat well first, learn that, then that becomes a spiritual process, or maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm unpacking this right now. I'm going to unpack that. Maybe it's the other way around for me, is the spiritual process. Yeah, it is. Ooh, I like it. My spiritual process is to naturally take care of myself now. So that's where the food came from. Got it. Welcome to my brain. Welcome. It's a goofy one. So, well, you just get to see how I think and how I process. That's how it happens. And then there's evidence-based things that I've got to be careful with evidence, because evidence is oftentimes skewed by the one looking at it. And sometimes, with emotion and words, they come out in a way that are not intended. As we all know that. That's 100% of the population right there. So that's a statistical fact. Oh, shit. It's my first cuss word of the day. Damn it. Second. Damn it. Third. Oh, man. All right. So as you can see, I'm doing well in my darkness. Even though there's, I can't, my brain has a tough time seeing through the other side of the veil when I'm here. I have a hard time opening that curtain. Why? Because I like it here. I'm walking through here today. I could solve this in a moment. And all it has to do is humility. And then just swallow some pride and get on with it. But the argument for me is, why does this keep happening? Why is this the narrative? Because I'm done doing this. I don't have that kind of fight in me anymore. I have a fight for life. I do not have a fight for argument, bad words, hurting people. I don't mind being angry. I'm okay with a little bit of angry. A controlled frustration. I think that's okay. That helps me navigate some of those things that still frustrate me in a way, because I am able to still question myself and dance in a way that gears me towards something positive. When I'm here, obviously, I'm like, well, do I just go do what I want to? I'm like, is this what, I got to live for, I've done more in 6 months than I've ever done in my life. Like, what do I have to be disappointed about? I've done more with this than I've ever dreamed of. And so what do I have to be well, you're going to hurt all these people, Brent, and you're going to, these viewers, and my viewers get it. That's why we're doing this. They understand this. So then the question is, do I put this out there and be real with you? Be real. Man, there's, when you're real, when you're vulnerable, there comes the fear, or no, I shouldn't say fear. I'm not really afraid, but it gives opportunity for people that are hurting so bad they want to hurt people like me or people like you, or and that's their pain bleeding out. Do I like it? Do I react well to it? Nope. I told you I'm a fight or flight, and when it comes to words, I'm usually, let's fight. And I don't like that. Again, that's not who I am. It's not what I like about the things, because I don't believe that is who I am anymore. I believe that was who I was for a very long time. My rage was a big part of the definition of who I was. And that is no longer a part of it. Do I still have angry? Do I still have rageful outbursts? Yes. Absolutely. Are they as often as intense or as dark? No. There's similarities, so I wouldn't say they're definitely not as dark. There's just, the rage is trying to get to me in a different way. And I say rage because anger is rage for me. I go from 0 to 100 like very, very fast, very short fuse. I'm tolerant to a point, and I don't think people really realize. They're like, oh, they just see the end result of rage. They don't realize what I've gone through to prevent that mentally, internally, trying to navigate a maze in the dark, like you're hitting walls over and over and over to try to get away from the thing that is coming. And they don't see all that those mental gymnastics that happen during that process, because I'm trying to shut all my words. I know what's coming. Like it's built, like there's this internal entity that's not really a part of who I am, that is getting ready to unleash hell on anybody and take any consequence necessary, from a severe beating to death. Like, it is this rageful ape, to say the least. And that nobody wants to be there. Nobody wants to have that. Nobody that I've ever met that I've seen with that kind of anger wants to be that person. That is a fear response to life and the things that have happened. And I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that in a way that is no longer part of my being. Rage does not have a place to house right now. What I mean is, I cleaned my house. I have nothing but light to give to people. I know this thing that has been part of my life has been attached to me internally for all of my life until recently. And now it's an external force, per se, that is trying to house again and trying to get in the cracks and get through there. And so now I'm just trying to fortify my castle that I'm building. And it's no longer a house. It's no longer a foundation for a house. It's a foundation for a castle, so it can house many. Like, and that's what, I didn't even know that. Interesting. And that's actually coming out my mouth new as well. Also, part of the beautiful journey is the things that I realize I'm doing unintentionally or subconsciously and saying out loud have been one of the most beautiful things that I've gotten to step back and watch as my life grows. So this is part of this right now. And this, am I going to take my life or am I going to humble myself? I guess that's pretty much the choices I've left with myself. Why is it so black and white? Why can't you just, because I'm tired of fucking fighting. That's 3. Damn it. 4. Damn it. 5. Oh. Hey, Father, I'm sorry for my mouth. So that's one of the things on the table is my mouth. It's a big thing for me. And, I had this, because that's part of what my anger is. And that's what we're talking about today. And we'll probably talk about anger a lot because I have a lot of anger. But the anger also produces anxiety, fear, this where I get distracted easily is because I've got all these things going on somewhere else and I'm playing those tapes. And even though they might be compartmentalized, they all get their turn. Oh, that's what we're talking about. Meditation. So pick us. All right. Meditation. We're going to focus on meditation for half a second, 30 seconds, if I can get past this part. So meditation, I either listen to music, I pick a focus word. So mine is be still. It used to be still and know I'm God. It used to be a sentence of something sort. But as those things are happening in my mind, I'm going and playing those tapes. When I remind myself as I'm breathing in through my nose and out through my mouth, be still. There's something that happens internally that everything kind of just, they're all in this like outside library, and then my focus is straight ahead. And that's where I want to be, because that's where the answers to all the library come. And that's where I feel grounded and connected and, part of this thing that is so beautiful. And that's where I can get into it for, an hour and a half. I don't even realize I'm there. I'm just having such a beautiful dance within my mind and the peace that it brings me externally that I know I have to leave there, but the reward, the longer I stay, that's like building and producing. That's why I'm able to sit here today and be calm and be in this thought process and even question my thought process. Is like, one of those thoughts this morning was, this just is proof that people would just be better off without me. And, because of the reoccurring narrative that's happening. So why, or maybe it's the reoccurring story. So how do I change the narrative? That's the question. Or how do I change the story? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. But there's a reason this happened, and it's so I could learn something about myself and share something beautiful and ugly and something possible with you. And that possibility is hope. And, as I sit here and talk I lean, as I sat down today, I'm sitting over here stewing and I'm like, just go put it down. Put it down on film or whatever. It's not film anymore. It's whatever. And tell you about it. Be vulnerable for a moment. So that's where we're at. And, when I sat down, I was leaning pretty heavy, about 80%. And I think in percentages, sorry, of, a tilting scale. I was about 80% sure that, and even logically, well, not even logically, just going through why should I care about anything? Why should I? What does it look like? How are you going to do this? How long is it going to take? And just make the decision, set the plan in motion, and execute. Okay, so I'm 80% leaning that way. Now I've tilted the other. I'm about 60% on this side of it, just from talking about it, because I need the meditation. I need to lay this out a little bit for myself. And I need to really process my emotion behind the very thing that should be old behavior. Should be. It is a trauma response that's deep in my body. So now the next question is, if that's the case, then is there something new that I'm not seeing? There is something new that I'm not seeing, that if I work on it and as I press forward, I will find an answer to it. That's the beautiful thing about the life I live now, is there's this very difficult problem in front of me. And even though I'm faced with a few things, I have a thought process of suicide, and then I have the navigation of a potential different outcome that I'm not seeing, and then there's the potential outcome of, or the solve the problem by just setting my ego aside in a way that I can give myself grace in, and also forgive myself for the things that I brought to the table. Forgive the things that were said, and then give grace to the behaviors that are probably natural triggers and reactions to life for them as they are for me on this side. Theirs are different than mine, and that's what created the reaction to embed unwarranted things. So there's navigation on their side that they have to own if they want or don't. Not my problem. Mine is, what do I need to do if I choose life, Britain? And that's maybe why this is so important. As I choose life, not if, as I choose life, and this thing that has haunted me for so long, becomes less of an opponent, and I start to wear it down, and I give it body shots and a few headshots, and really start to dance with it and be the controller of this fight. And that's exactly what's happening right now, is I'm dancing with it, and it gut shotted me, so I'm catching my breath. I'm covering up, and I'm just wearing it out now. Now I'm on the ropes. I got my breath back. I'm just waiting for opportunity. So, and that's what the meditation for me is. That's the uppercut, is that will solidify a lot of this thought process. I'm sorry, not solidify the thought process, but it will produce answers that I can't think of in the midst of even where I'm at right now, because I still have that tape playing. Yeah, but what if? Yeah, but what if? Yeah, but what if? In meditation, I let my spirit rest, because that's the most true thing, that if I let it speak, it will inevitably guide me in a way towards something better for me. Not necessarily the best outcome, because my spirit does argue with me on things that are easy, sometimes that would look good and feel good. And it's like, deep down, that's not right. That's not right. It's not going to happen. It's temporary. And that's actually, that's another one. Ping, all day long. Light bulbs. It's like I surprise myself. That's why I haven't dated in 7 years. Ping. Wow. Man, I'm counseling myself. So yeah, I'm just going to close this up. That's kind of where I was at. I'm sorry it went all over the place, but I'm wordy. I'm windy. But I'm also, the other beautiful compliment that my friend gave me that is struggling. She's like, "You're too positive." How beautiful is that, Britain? How beautiful is that? You've never been too positive. I just can't get over that. There's some beautiful things that are said to me that I've not really comprehended or picked up on throughout the course of my life. And I wish I would have paid better attention to some of you, but we're here now. And all my ding-dongishness and stupidity got me here, and hopefully it benefits you guys, because I heard the other day that somebody say to somebody else, I don't know if it's for me, but they said, your gift is not your own. Your gift is for other people. So hopefully that's true. But, as we sit here and talk, it sounds like my gift is for me too. So I've learned a lot today. I've had a lot of revelation. I've done this in a way that I don't normally do. I have looked at this really difficult and dark situation for me, and the way I see it, difficult and dark situation, in a different way. So I'm happy for those things. Like I'm so grateful for the mind that I was given, the brain that I was given, the spirit I was given, and being able to realize that's the beautiful part of who I am. Didn't know that. I stumbled. I fell face first in a pile of shit. Like I was going to go take my life, and this evolved. And I'm not even going to go into that stuff. Anyway, I'm going to close this up. I got all kinds of stuff going on up here. We're just ready to climb another tree. A whole new exploration going on over there. So I'm going to close this out. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for listening to this long, windy, messy thing. I'll figure out all the details, and I'm going to try to do this in a different way and share this differently. So I don't know what this looks like, but there we go. Well, thanks for joining me on the Suicide Monk, and I will see you on the good side. Peace.